Goku and Krillin are left facing off against multiple enemies from their past as Goku and Krillin battle the likes of the Ginyu Force, Perfect Cell, Super Buu Frieza, and many more as Krillin looks to regain his fighting spirit and battle through his deepest fears, all while trying to battle the exact enemies that endangered his life before. What's going on, Dragon Ball Super fans? Welcome to my Dragon Ball Super episode 76 review entitled Beat the Fearsome Foes, Krillin's Fighting Spirit Returns, leading into next week's exciting debut of the highly anticipated Universe Survival arc, in which we have a lot to look forward to. Dragon Ball Super entering episode 77 on February 5th, and this episode starts off right where we left off with Goku and Krillin in the nostalgia training place with their fearsome foes and most deadliest of enemies returning in order for them to spar off against one another. Now again, guys, I want you to keep in mind this video will contain lots of spoilers. And a quick plug before we begin, in case you guys are not following me at Twitter, make sure to go on ahead and follow me at Twitter at UnrealEntGaming. The link will be down in the description below for all the latest in Dragon Ball news, information, and updates. And of course, if you guys want to keep notified of what's going on, make sure to follow me at Twitter. And of course, if you guys are new to this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out, and don't forget to turn on notifications. That way you guys yourselves are notified of whenever a Dragon Ball discussion, review, or gameplay video is posted on this channel. Your feedback and of course your support really means a lot to me, so be sure to go on ahead and spread the word about the channel, guys. It really means a lot to me. So everything that has transpired in this episode is obviously going to lead into Goku training with Whis and summoning the Omni King next week, but in particular this episode focused more on Krillin and him having to overcome his fears. Now we start the episode off right where we left off with Krillin freaking out and Goku telling Krillin to relax, they're obviously illusions, and then Goku points out that obviously Vegeta couldn't really be there. And it's funny because when Vegeta was there, Goku struck him and Vegeta caught his punch, and we see how Krillin is fearing for his life, and we see how right then and there Frieza lunges towards Goku, Goku back fists him. It's pretty funny because we see how Krillin is always running around, and when Krillin encounters Frieza, he reckons the time when Frieza killed him on planet Namek. It was a very barbaric scene nonetheless, but we get to see how Krillin is reminiscing on the times with Cell, even when Super Buu was on Kami's lookout and ate everybody. So we get to see how Goku urges Krillin to fight, but he's too scared to fight, and it's kind of hard to really say if Krillin has ever increased in terms of battle power compared to some of these foes, but Deborah was there chasing him with his sword, and all Krillin kept doing was running around. Now it's very funny because we see how Baba and Master Roshi are observing Goku and Krillin's progress, and we see how 18 comes along, and 18's watching her husband run around like a coward while Goku is the one that's fighting and encouraging Krillin to keep on pushing forward. And at first it's not like Krillin's listening because Goku is guiding him. Goku's using the Kamehameha and he's trying to encourage Krillin to face his fears, and Baba, oddly enough, is charging Master Roshi 10 million Zeni for her, services, which is kind of funny because they're all there at the island observing this. And then we get to see Goku and Krillin unleash Kamehamehas on the enemies, and finally we get to see Raditz. Raditz was there for a very short time, but also Bulma was there as well. It was very confusing to me as to why Bulma was down there, but as they're fighting these ghost warriors, we see how Goku and Krillin blow them away with the Kamehamehas, and Goku happily says they should continue their search, and Krillin is getting annoyed for Goku being so carefree and so outgoing about the whole situation. He's having to face all these enemies again that have possibly killed, one or the other, that being Cell and Frieza and whatnot, and we see how Goku has no care in the world, and Krillin is arguing with Goku saying you can't be so carefree like that. I mean, you have to understand that at some given point, these were the most powerful people we faced in our lives, and now you're taking this like a joke. And obviously we already know why. It's because Goku has surpassed everyone's wildest expectations, and he obviously has the powers to defeat all these enemies by himself, if that were the case, if that were the scenario. But we see how 18 and Marin are worried about Krillin, and Baba explains that Krillin's in the Fearsome Forest on the border between the living world and the afterlife, and we get to see how Krillin is trying to face his fears, and he leaves. And you can't really fault Krillin for being so scared because he's nowhere near Goku's level. He's nowhere near anyone's level to the point where he can actually be comfortable in fighting these enemies again. But the one enemy I would have to say that I was really happy to see was definitely Super Buu. Aside from the original Dragon Ball characters, aside from Nappa and the Ginyu Force and even Frieza and Cell, I think that seeing Super Buu there, and I guess Perfect Cell as well to an extent, was definitely comforting to me. And then all of a sudden we see how all the Ghost Warriors are back and they're massive. We see how Goku's handling all of them by himself, and we see how Goku's being attacked by various different characters, and Krillin he's not really fighting back. He's getting tossed around all over the place, but I guess this is build up for the Universal Tournament as Krillin is going to be entering and fighting for his respective universe. So Goku unknowingly, I think, is training Krillin to, overcome that fear. But we see how 18, decides that she'll let Krillin fight his own battles. She wants her man to go ahead and step it up, and she actually chews out Roshi and Baba for setting this whole thing up. And Roshi says, and I quote by Herms, "You can go and help him if you want," and she says no. And then Krillin realizes while he's fighting all the Ghost Warriors that he won't be able to leave the forest until he's completed Roshi's errand, which is to overcome his fear. So pretty much he's stuck there. It's like purgatory. He's stuck there. He's trying to overcome his fears by fighting everyone. It's kind of funny because Goku is nonchalantly turning Super Saiyan, fighting Super Buu, Cell, everybody at once, while Krillin is getting tossed around, from pillar to post, and he's running away from his battles instead of overcoming his enemies by fighting them. And then midway towards the episode, we get to see how Krillin gets tossed into this lake. He comes out and he's resting on this rock, and he says to himself, "I'm stupid," and the Ghost Warriors reform as Goku says, "This can go on forever, I'll finish them quick," and he goes Super Saiyan 3, which again, Goku can easily turn any form he wants and combat all these enemies with complete and utter ease and not have a problem. Meanwhile, Krillin is resting on this rock, and he's really trying to overcome his fears, because keep in mind, back in the day, he's faced tough times with people like Cell, people like the Ginyu Force, people like Frieza, people like Super Buu, so you have to understand where he's coming from. However, this is definite preparation in going into the Universal Tournament, because somehow Krillin's gonna have to conjure up the strength to combat all these foes. So we get to see how Roshi looks, and he says, "Look, Goku's realized," and then 18 says, "Realized what?" with Roshi replying by saying, "Let's see if Krillin realizes." And we see how Goku's trying to fly up to help Krillin, but if he flies using his own ki, the Ghost Warriors will come and attack. And then finally we get to see Krillin kind of, dissipate his own fear and go up against these enemies. We see how Ghost Nappa, there were various different Ghost Nappas all around Krillin, and he uses Solar Flare at first and nothing works, to the point where even he used the Destructo Disc against the giant Ghost Nappas, and that failed as well. And keep in mind, these Ghost Nappas are huge. They're like a bunch of Godzillas running around, and so they're all around Krillin, they're surrounding Krillin, and Krillin begins to meditate. Krillin begins to, zap into his own strength. We see how all these Ghost Nappas are around him, and they're huge. They're about to crush Krillin, and Krillin right then and there conjures up the energy, conjures up the courage to stand up against these Nappas, and even to the point where he meditates, and he realizes that Ghost Warriors are getting bigger, and of course increasing in numbers, and it's bad enough having one Nappa, but you also have various others. You have about 4 Nappas, and then we get to see Krillin's concentrated energy, and Krillin goes for the attack. Now, I think the moral of this episode was getting Krillin to realize that he can overcome his fears, and to everyone's surprise, he actually did. He went up against all the Ghost Nappas and he was kicking their butts. And then I think one of the most shocking factors of this episode was seeing Zarama, the eternal dragon god, appear and wrap himself around Goku. Like, that was such a shock, because I never even in my wildest dreams would have thought to see the dragon there, and he wrapped Goku around, and Krillin was shook out of his mind. And then we get to see how Krillin is standing before the dragon, and he's trying to figure out what's going on, and this is the evil Super Shenlong, actually, and Goku is surprised that even the, the Super Eternal Dragon is there, and Krillin too, and we get to see how this is the evil variation of Super Shenlong. But then to 18, to Marin's, and of course to our surprise, we get to see how once again Krillin is meditating, he's concentrating his energy, and he's putting his courage up on the line. He's overcoming everything and all the obstacles against them, and even goes on ahead to punch Zarama in the face. That was something, I mean, if anybody out there can actually screenshot the point where Krillin punches evil Shenlong in the face, it's classic. And we see how the flying Nimbus was there, everyone was there, and of course we get to see how the dragon takes the punch from Krillin and then begins to let out a giant roar, and then we see how Goku and Krillin, of course Super Saiyan Blue Goku, and Krillin unleash a Kamehameha upon the evil Shenlong. And just as they did that, we get to see a bunch of plants, they start, rising up out of the ground, and 18 is so happy, and even Marin is happy knowing that their father now is not a coward. The mission is complete, the errand has been fulfilled, and we see how Krillin is carrying all of these, I want to call it like just, plants or whatever. It looks like a bunch of marijuana plants. It's funny actually, but they go back to Roshi, they deliver all the goods. We see how 18 is finally proud of Krillin, and she begins to rub his head, and she puts his head up on her chest, and that's how short he is. It's like finally a short guy receives some love. And Roshi's secret trick for intensive power-ups is actually controlling one's emotion, and I mean that doesn't really come as a surprise to anyone else, but we see how 18 and Marin welcome Krillin back. back, they saw how strong he was, they saw how strong he's gotten, and Goku has no clue as to what the heck happened with Krillin, but he does realize that he's conjured up the energy and actually, meditated for himself and realized that he was no longer a coward. He had to overcome his fears, and that was a part of the test. So it wasn't anything too crazy in this episode. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the fact that Cell was there, I love the fact that Boo was there. It took me by surprise when I saw the Eternal Dragon God, and I think the ending of this episode was more than fitting. A throwback to Dragon Ball. We see how Krillin extends his hand, Goku shakes his hand, and this makes me want to go back and watch a little bit of the original Dragon Ball, because now we come to the realization that, the Universal Tournament's coming up, and now everyone has to prepare. And of course, we see 18 shaving Krillin's head again, and we see that he's back to being bald. So I guess momentarily, for what it was worth, it was actually kind of worth seeing, Krillin having to go through all that, because now I guess you could say he has the courage to face any obstacle placed in front of him. But post your comments down below. What did you guys think about Dragon Ball Super episode 76? Did you guys enjoy the episode? Did you guys hate the episode? What were your overall thoughts on certain characters not being there amongst the group of foes that were defeated by Goku and Vegeta and the others? Now that we're finally entering the Universe Survival arc, what are your overall thoughts going into next week's episode, and how good do you guys believe this arc is going to be in comparison to the previous arcs we've seen in Dragon Ball Super? Thank you all for watching once again, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys enjoyed the review, don't forget to slap a like on the video. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well for all the latest in Dragon Ball news, information, updates, discussions, what if battles, and reviews. The Universe Survival arc kicks off next week, and it is going to be a monumental event, especially with Goku having to meet up with the Omni Kings. Thank you guys for watching once again. Tune in for the predictions video and the Dragon Ball Super English dub review, and I'll be seeing you all down in the comment section below. Take it easy, guys. Peace.